climate change is probably the most difficult thing we will ever do. Going to the moon was easy by comparison. And I want to talk to you very briefly about a guy named Bill McKibben, who came up with a really interesting article in Rolling Stone magazine a couple of years ago about climate change and the three numbers that you must know. There are three numbers that you must know if you're going to understand our energy future in West Virginia and the rest of the world. The first number is 2. 2 degrees Celsius is the maximum amount of warming that we as a planet can endure without seeing dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. A lot of big words and means we don't want to go there. Most of us would agree that 1 degree centigrade is probably more than we want to see as a global average. We're already seeing Hurricane Katrina, the droughts in California, wildfires, floods, Superstorm Sandy. But everybody knows 2 degrees is too much. We're already at about 0.8, getting close. The second number you want to know is 565. That's a bigger number than 2. 565 is the number of gigatons, that's 1 billion tons, of carbon that we can put into the atmosphere without exceeding that 2 degree limit. The Earth is a closed system. Carbon dioxide that's burned in the chimney and goes up the smokestack stays in the atmosphere for a very long time, and we know how much is going there. Our global emissions now are somewhere in the range of 30 to 40 gigatons, which means that we've got about 15 years at our current rate of emission before we go past that tipping point. The third number, for anybody here who follows Wall Street, stock market, 2,795 gigatons. 2,795 is the proven reserves of Exxon and Shell and Mobil and Arch Coal and Peabody and all the fossil fuel companies. Now those proven reserves are the amount of coal and oil and gas that they buy and sell. The net worth of their company is based on those proven reserves. This is all oil and gas and coal that they know they've got, and they have bought them, and they intend to get their money back. The stock market values their proven reserves on the assumption that every last pound is going to be developed and burned. And we go back to that 565, and of the 2,795 gigatons of proven reserves, we can burn about 20% of that without going over that tipping point. That means that 80% of the proven reserves of our oil and coal and gas companies are assets that they cannot develop, but they assume that they will. What do we call this? Economists call that a stranded asset. You put your money into it, you bought the coal reserves, and you cannot burn it without committing suicide. Another couple of authors. This came out October 29, 2013. Former Vice President Al Gore, an economist by the name of David Blunt, came up with an article in the Wall Street Journal. Not exactly a liberal environmentalist rag, but there it was. Becoming Carbon Asset Bubble. And they define a bubble as an economic condition when a lot of asset owners don't see something coming that in retrospect is blindingly obvious. 2009, the housing crash. In hindsight, everybody knew that those worthless, high-risk mortgages were a serious risk. But up until that time, everybody thought, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then it crashed. The fossil fuel companies are several times the magnitude of the assets of the housing crisis, and they all assume that all of those gigatons are going to be burned. That was 3 years ago. Now, interestingly enough, that was 2 days before Halloween, and when I saw an article entitled in the Wall Street Journal by Blood and Gore before Halloween, I thought that was a joke. No, this is not a joke. Because now we're 3 years later, and we're seeing the effects of that. A lot of major companies, investment firms, are divesting from fossil fuels. China, which everybody has said is going to ruin the earth, is getting serious about climate change. One of the advantages of a command and control dictatorship is that you can just say, oh, we're going to invest whatever it takes, and they are doing that. Renewables, cost of renewable energy is dropping tremendously. If you're holding stock in our current utilities, you might want to reconsider that. And here's the kicking point. Most of the major coal companies in West Virginia are bankrupt or getting there very quickly. They spent literally billions of dollars buying up coal reserves just a few years ago, and today they can get about 10 cents on the dollar of what they spent. One company, a coal company in southern West Virginia that is now bankrupt, will give away their coal reserves in their mines if you assume the environmental liabilities. The money that they spent to buy coal reserves, they now recognize is worth zero. This is the energy future for West Virginia. West Virginia's economy has been dominated by coal. Yeah, we know that. Here is where the future is. Right now, today, the cost of electricity from renewable sources is coming down dramatically. Wind energy by 2013 was cheaper than coal. In some areas, wind energy today is cheaper than gas-fired power plants. 2014, 2/3 of the new electric generation capacity coming online in the United States was from renewables. About 1/3 of that was from gas, nothing from coal. 2015, the same thing. 2/3 from renewables, about 35% from gas, very little from coal. There is no new coal-fired generation coming online. Instead, coal-fired electricity is coming down. Now, why is that good news? Because there are jobs there. Employment in the solar industry